You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week we're not going to get too ridiculous with the news because there wasn't really anything major. They're still going to try to convict Trump supposedly and put him in jail. We'll see how that works out. The drone situation is almost like disappeared. Like they were all talking about the drones. We know it was a U.S. government black op, but they're not really coming out and saying exactly what they were doing. Big cover up there. We also have had in the past week or so, they were talking about the whole H-1B crap, and then Elon Musk getting butthurt over it and throwing a fit on Twitter and starting censoring shit. And it's just been a big mess. I don't know what all's going on there. I really don't care. I do think it needs to be reformed. I do think that Americans should come first before foreigners when it comes to jobs, because these companies have been abusing it, using it for cheap labor. They're like, we're the only country that's like importing Indians to do those jobs, which makes no sense. Because there's plenty of qualified Americans that can do those jobs. They just don't want to pay them the salary that they should be paid. But anyways, then you have the whole Tesla truck bombing shit. The FBI keeps changing and flip-flopping their story. I mean, there's one instance where the guy supposedly changed his password, or not his password, but he had something to do with some government website or some shit, and somehow he was able to log on like a couple of days after the bomb happened. Supposedly he burnt to a crisp and they couldn't identify the body. Even the teeth were burnt, which any crematorium can tell you that takes it has to be intensely hot. It's almost impossible to destroy the teeth. Everything else not so much, but the teeth are almost impossible to burn. But yet they found a plastic ID card in his seat that gave him all the information about him. Like, get the fuck out of here. Just a lot of shit like that. Just, it doesn't make any sense. There's 4 manifestos. They keep changing it, the FBI. So there's a lot that doesn't make any sense about that whole thing. But anyways, that's basically all I heard about. Now, I want to get on to talk to you about the most recent TV series I just watched. I just got done watching a 1970s series called Kolchack the Night Stalker. There's only one season. And when I first started the show, the first episode was something about Jack the Ripper or some shit. But it was kind of dumb. It was lame. And then the second episode was about voodoo zombies, like Serpent in the Rainbow type shit, which is dumb. I hate the voodoo zombie crap. I absolutely hate that junk. Yes, it is practice. Yes, they've done it in real life, but it's just dumb. If you're gonna do a zombie, not voodoo zombie. It's just dumb. Anyways, I think the third episode was called The Vampire or some shit. It was dumb. I like the idea of him going after different monsters. My problem is him being a reporter. And I'm not talking about the actor. The actor was fine. He's okay. I didn't mind the actor at all. I didn't mind the way he played the character. My problem is that he's a reporter. It was just so boring. Him working in a newspaper and him trying to track down these stories or whatever. You know, half the time he's nearly getting himself killed. And it was just, I don't know, he should have been something like a private investigator or some shit like that. Not a reporter. It was just lame and it was boring. So, most of the episodes I just didn't care for. I think there were maybe in a couple of them, and I don't even remember much of it. I just done watched it. The whole season. I burnt through the whole thing. I think I was trying to get through it quickly. That's why, because it was just boring. But I know there's a lot of fans of this show. I see it all the time. Them wishing they'd bring back this show, which I think they did. My older brother said something about them bringing back the show, but it had nothing to do with the old series. It was all about vampires. It was just lame, so he said. I think they only ran it for one season too. Somewhere in like 2012 or some shit like that. They did it. They tried to bring it back, but it wasn't nothing like the original series. But yeah, to the fans out there of the show, I'm sorry. I like the concept, but him being a reporter just, it sucked. It was lame. I didn't like it at all. I didn't care for any of the people that he worked with either. It was just dumb. It was like a sitcom, and I'm not a big fan of sitcoms. But anyways, yeah, the show had a good concept, but the execution was just way off. The character should have been somebody else, job requirement or something. It should have been not a reporter. I couldn't get into the show at all. I didn't care for it. I give it 2 thumbs down. I didn't like it. Let's move on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movieaholics. This week is Fantasy Week. Now,
Anything you say. Anything
the first one, I just ran across because I've literally burnt through all of the sword and sorcery movies from the 80s. There might be one or two that I haven't watched, but I've pretty much watched all of the sword and sorcery movies. I couldn't. There's really not a whole lot in the 90s, and then once you get to 2000, you get the shit like the only major ones are like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, which I might eventually do, but everyone has seen those movies. So, I don't know. I may get around to watching those again and reviewing them, but not right now. And everything else is pretty much kiddie fantasy. What I mean by kiddie fantasy is like the Chronicles of Narnia, the Spiderwick Chronicles or whatever, the Golden Compass. It's kiddie crap, kids stuff. Something with kids. I like the Harry Potter movies, but it's kid fantasy. It's not high fantasy like the sword and sorcery movies, where it's more rated R. Like Conan. It's not like Conan type movies. The only high fantasies was the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. Everything else has been kiddie fantasy or whimsical. Like just a while back, I did the Night of the Museums, and stuff like that. Inkheart, it's whimsical stuff. It's not hard fantasy. Anyways, I don't know where this came from. I just was looking for crap. I ran across this and I just started watching it. I was bored, so I just started watching it. It's called The Lost Empire. It was done in 1984 or 80. I think it was done in 84, but it wasn't released until 1985. Now it starred in Melanie Vince, Robert. You might recognize Robert Tesser. He's the bald-headed evil dude. And then, of course, the main bad guy, which you don't see till later, is Angus Scrimm. Now, if you don't know who that is, I suggest you go watch the Phantasm movies, because he's the tall man. I don't know who this Melanie Vince is. I've never seen her before. But anyways, those are only two actors I recognize in this movie. Dude, I'm telling you now, there's 80s cheese, and then there is this kind of cheese. This movie was super cheesy. I mean, it was bad cheese. The acting wasn't all that great, except for, Robert Tesser and Angus Scrimm was the only ones who knew how to act worth the shit. Everybody else sucked. There was no box office numbers. You had a couple of hot chicks in there. They had this one, oh my god, it was some raven haired chick who was calling herself White Star, and she was like supposed to be kind of Indian or whatever, but she didn't look Indian at all. She looked like a white girl, and she had the biggest fucking tits. I'm not kidding you. It was just ridiculous. They couldn't even find a shirt for her to actually fit her. They were just so huge. The other two girls, the two blondes, they had big tits, but not like this chick. And she was wearing this ridiculous all white leather Indian type outfit, you know, with the frills on it and shit. It was dumb. The story is they're supposed to go to someone dies. I can't remember, like her brother or something dies. The main chick, her brother dies or some shit. She's supposed to be some fucking cop or whatever. You remember those 80s flicks or 80s and 90s where they're all like, oh, chicks with guns, or chicks in the jungle, or, you know, chicks with a bad attitude, you know, that kind of the female exploitation films. This was kind of like that. It was pretty dumb. Anyway, she's supposed to be some type of fucking cop, and she wants to go after her brother's killers, find out what happened to him. He died on this island with this cult or some shit. So she goes there, and it's kind of like Mortal Kombat. She's got to go there, enter a tournament, but the tournament only allows three people at one time to enter. So she has to go get these other two chicks to come with her to the island. They're supposed to be badass chicks, and you know, when she goes picks up the last one, the other blonde girl, they go to a prison where they're supposed to get her out of prison, and they're all the women are wearing skimpy outfits, and there's one woman that she has to fight that's like black leather and it's got a whip, and you're just like, get the fuck out of here. It's just dumb. Anyways, they go to the tournament, and it's all women. There's like 3 sets of 3, and they're all women, and there's no fighting, none, until the very end when they're fighting the cult members. All the women are in prison. They let them out, and they go fight cult members, and it's just pretty lame. But when they get to the very end, the main chick has to fight Angus Scrim, which turns out to be some reptilian looking dude after he peels off his face, and he's built some type of laser which they're going to attack the world with and rule the world, you know, the pinky in the brain scenario, but whatever. It was pretty cheesy. Anyways, the laser goes crazy, kills everybody except for a few of them and the girls, and they get out in this plane, and there's one guy who happens to be the main chick's boyfriend, who's a cop too, and he's the only one who knows how to fly a plane to get them off the island. They get off the island, and that's the end of the movie. This movie was a disaster. If you want to watch it, you can go ahead and watch it, but I'm giving it 2 thumbs down. It was bad. I like 80s cheese, but this was just plain bad cheese. Alright, so the next one we're going to talk about is a Disney film from 1963. And it made about 12 million worldwide back then, which was pretty good. It was a cartoon. I normally don't watch cartoons, but I don't mind the old Disney classics. Anything after the 80s just sucks. when it comes to Disney cartoons. I don't like the majority of the crap that Disney puts out after the 80s. It's called The Sword in the Stone. And the voice actors are Ricky Swanson and Carl Swenson. The boy and Merlin. Anyways, basically this is, the tale about King Arthur or whatever, pulling the sword out of the stone. Now, the only thing is that most of the movie had nothing to do with the sword and the stone. You don't see anything to do with the sword and stone to the very end of the movie. He doesn't pull the sword out until nearly the end of the movie. And then he becomes king, and that's the end of the movie. Mainly the movie was about the boy and Merlin. So basically the story goes that Merlin is supposed to teach someone knowledge. Well, there's a boy who is adopted, and he runs across Merlin and his talking owl. His older brother is a big doofus, like the dumb jock syndrome type shit. Merlin basically moves in with them. He then starts teaching the boy like life lessons and how to read and write and blah blah blah, along with the owl. So throughout most of the movie, he's like changing them into different creatures, like a fish, a squirrel, I can't remember what else, a bird. He also runs across, I don't know, this evil witch named Mimi or whatever, and her and Merlin have a wizard's duel, which, like in the middle of the movie, was kind of silly. But yeah, that's what you get throughout most of the movie. There's really no, nothing to do with him being king until the very, very end of the movie. He doesn't pull out the sword until like the last 5 minutes of the movie. He pulls the sword out of the stone to give to his brother because he forgot his sword. So he went to get him his sword. He just happened to see the one in the town square that was in the stone. So he pulled it out and then gave it to him. And then when they asked him where he got the sword, he told them. They didn't believe him. They told him to put it back, and he puts it back, and everybody wants to see him pull it out. But instead, all the knights rush in to try to pull it out, and they can't pull it out. So they decide to let him pull it out, and he does pull it out, and then they make him king. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. Him sitting on the throne as king, and Merlin's standing by his side. That's the end of the movie. It was okay for what it was. Again, it was more of a kiddie movie. It was a classic though, so of course I like Disney classics. Don't like the new stuff, but the classics are okay by me. I give it 2 thumbs up. It was a good movie. Check it out, especially if you have any children. Let them watch it. They'll love it. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions, if you know of any underrated, B-rated, movies that I may never even heard of, that most people haven't, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. I told you be told the truth, and you just been told.